EMDR was developed. I'm going to read most of this so I make sure that I tell you what I meant to tell you. EMDR was developed by Francine Shapiro to treat traumatic events. A traumatic event is described as something that won't go away. It seems to be frozen in your memory in its original anxiety-producing form, complete with the original anxiety, with the original image, negative self-assessment, and affect. It is incapable of being processed to adaptive completion and continues to be experienced as intrusive thoughts, flashbacks, and nightmares. The easiest example to understand and where the most evidence of successful work has been, it's been in war experiences where something is so dreadful and the person can't get it out of their mind, and EMDR has been very successful in getting rid of that. As a matter of fact, Doonesbury now is working with war trauma, but so far hasn't tried EMDR. I think I'll have to write in. The initials EMDR, as Mary said, means eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing. Besides being very hard for me to say, it's probably too specific. David Grand, who has the Warp Speed book, keeps using a more inclusive definition. He calls it bilateral stimulation of the brain. And some people do it. I'm an old-fashioned girl. I only use the hand. And the eye follows the hand as the image is, the traumatic image is remembered, and the feeling is remembered, and it's brought back as far as the client can. While they're watching, the fingers and that go from side to side. So the eyes are going from side to side. Other people use bells or little sounds that alternate in the ears. I think with children, there's been alternating with the hands on the knees. That seems to work best with children. Anyway, the theory is that the bilateral stimulation seems to free up the frozen information and allow it to be processed and integrated. And in support of the theory, in addition to the experience of the clients, there's been evidence that there are actual brain changes after going through EMDR. The MRIs been used to collect information on that. In Mary and my experience, the trauma that you can remember and experience, what we think of as trauma is things that we can't get out of our head. Those kinds of trauma can be dissipated pretty fast. That can be done with warp speed. The trauma that is much more difficult to get rid of is the one you don't remember. All you have left is the memory is the opinion of yourself, or the rules, or the idea, I am a failure, I should be dead. If I speak up in defense of myself, the other person will die. They're out to get me. Those kinds of thoughts, and you don't know why they're there, because you don't remember the trauma. I remember very well when Mary identified a wall behind which was hidden something terrible. She says, there's a wall in my head, and I don't know what it is that I'm hiding behind it, but I really almost don't dare to think of breaking that wall down. When the wall came down, all there was behind it was a little girl's voice. She was weeping and angry, and all she kept saying was, be quiet and sit down. You're stupid. You're stupid. Oh, you're so stupid. Neither of us knew what that meant. That's what came out from behind the wall. We only started to begin to get closer to the trauma. It was the most interesting journey, very Mary wanted to get out of it a few times, but it's hard to give up. Other interesting things I noticed during the EMDR that was different from other kinds of counseling is that as the person experienced the crisis, the picture widened and other details came into view. And Mary kept saying, "Oh, I didn't remember." She says she had this feeling that the whole world was against her. She had a terrible experience where she was screaming for help and this woman was trying to pry her hands loose so that she would be at the mercy of this person. And that's what she remembered. What she began to remember was that the woman was fixing dinner and that she had 3 kids there and they had their pajamas on and the pajamas had the feet in them. She said, "I suddenly realized that a crazy woman had broken into her house and she was doing her best to behave nicely, but she didn't know what to do." She says, "Suddenly I didn't hate that woman anymore. She wasn't part of a hostile world. She was just..." And actually the woman did go to the phone and call Mary's friend, despite what a bizarre picture she was showing to her. So when she got over that particular episode, she felt like the world was much more benign than she had before. Mary, another thing is that when you're watching somebody tell a story and all the emotions and the talk, and it's like a little theater, and you as a therapist, you're watching this. Well, I don't have to give an informed or a good guess about what's going on. I see what's going on. She had an occasion where she said she told many therapists about this episode in her life when she didn't get support and comfort from her mother. And it was for you, poor thing, you suffered, that's probably why you had problems, etc. Then she did the scene for me. And she was talking like the little girl, and she was saying, "My poor mama, there she was, 2 kids hanging on her and one in her arms. And she just has too much to do. I'm not like those kids. I'm not going to tell her. That won't make her happy, and I'm not going to tell her." The whole thing was totally different. Mary was refusing to put one more thing on her mother. It wasn't that the support wasn't there. And that was so different. And when she realized what a brave little girl she had, I think she immediately began to feel less afraid of the world.